Hey, this is Stephen Platinum versus Full Gear 2020. Overall, as a pay-per-view, thought it was much better than AEW's last pay-per-view. Um, the matches, there were three matches that were real standouts. A couple of the matches that felt very precarious in that the expectations would be incredibly high for them, I thought lived up to advanced billing. Let's just get into it. There was the buy-in match, meaning the match that appeared on the YouTube pre-show. I thought the countdown show to Full Gear was really good, really solid. I also did sort of an analysis of that, if you want to go watch that. But a lot of that stuff was contained in the pre-show. But they also had a match between Allin K and the NWA Women's Champion Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's title. Not quite sure what the relationship is there between NWA and AEW. Don't particularly care. I thought this was a solid match, good match. Allin K, I guess, was the former NWA Women's Champ. Serena Deeb, certainly capable. I mean, it's like what I always think about the modern NWA. They have a bunch of people who are pretty good, fit the role, seem to work pretty well, but nothing particularly outstanding or attention-getting. Serena Deeb wins with her version of the Tequila Sunrise, and then Thunder Rosa has a confrontation with her afterwards that is non-physical, but seems to make the intent clear. Now we get into the show. They open with Kenny Omega and Adam Page. This was close to the match that they need to have for this kind of thing. An opening of a pay-per-view, heavy on spots, heavy on storytelling. If Kenny Omega still had people that he had to convince that he could do a solo match, this went a little ways to getting them back on his side, I think. Kenny Omega wins. One winged angel move. Adam Page, his selling, a lot of people are going to talk about Kenny Omega, who was very good here, but really Adam Page with his sells and the different expressions he had in his face and just small, subtle physical things he did to really make you think he was going to win the matches. Just high marks for both of these guys, for sure. So now Kenny Omega is going to get a future title shot at whoever wins our main event. Match number 2, John Silver against Orange Cassidy. John Silver is a guy who's very popular on being the elite, and they're starting to give him a push and kind of a identity all his own. Orange Cassidy wins this thing with a Superman punch and the beach break move. But boy, it's one of these things that I think hurts AEW in the long term, which is they give people way too fucking much. John Silver's not going to win this match, obviously. But boy, letting him go toe-to-toe for that long when you're one of almost a faceless rabble in the Dark Order against Orange Cassidy, who's a guy who had beat your highest paid dude, Chris Jericho, 2 out of 3, and was destined for big things. Now he's going toe-to-toe with John Silver. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. It is what it is. Other people didn't seem to have a problem with it, but other people aren't me. I'm just saying, if you have designs for Orange Cassidy, this didn't do him any favors. And giving John Silver so much offense really doesn't do him as many favors as you think. Third match, Darby Allin against Cody. This is the match that this one needed to be. There were a few of those on this card. Matches that did what they needed to do. And Darby Allin needed the win here. Not the biggest fan of the finish of like roll up and reversing the roll up into a roll up. But I suppose it's a way for Cody to take a loss without it feeling like it was that bad of a loss. But Darby wins here and looks really good, gets a lot of sympathy, a lot of crowd support behind him. Then Taz's crew goes and they get Darby in a position where they're going to break his arm in the car. Kudos for how precarious that looked with his arm in that car. The Will Hobbs coming to save the day with the chair. I mean, here's a little story, right? I was always of the philosophy that somebody coming to save should do so better a little too early than too late, because I thought too late always looks silly. Simon Sermon was always of the mind of like milk it, milk it, milk it. At the end of the day, though, like here, it's like, why didn't they just slam the door on his fucking arm? It just seems ridiculous that they didn't do it. Will Hobbs, a little speculation here. He did not hit anybody with the chair, so the speculation is maybe he is joining Taz's group. We shall see. Dasha is back there with QT and Dustin. Dustin cuts a really good promo, as he is prone to do, about setting up a match, a bunkhouse match between Butcher and Blade, though at first it was thought it was just, oh, he's just talking to Butcher. Whatever. The long and short of it is Wednesday Dynamite bunkhouse match, Butcher and Blade against QT and Dustin. We're also apparently going to see Penta and Ray in a rematch. Interesting. And Tay Conti with Anna Jay in her corner against Red Velvet with Brandy in her corner. Fourth match, Sheida versus Nyla Rose. I have a bunch of notes written here. The long and short of it is, this was a good match. These two have good chemistry together. It's one of Sheida's better opponents. She's good as the babyface that has to like muscle up Nyla for unexpected spots. That all worked. The finish got really sloppy. I don't mind the finish of I knee you in the head repeatedly to win. They didn't really set up that in a way that was smooth, in my opinion. The long and short of it is Sheida wins, which is the right move. And Nyla gets slapped by Vicky. Oh, reminiscent perhaps of Bobby Heenan slapping Andre, etc., etc. Match number 5. Bucks against FTR. A lot of cyber ink is going to get spilled on this one. This was my favorite Young Bucks match that I've seen. It's not my favorite FTR match I've ever seen. They had so many good matches in NXT, but it is amongst them. And I thought the two of them managed to do something pretty impossible, which is to live up to the hype of this match. Certainly the build could have gone differently, I think, for it. But at the end of the day, the match was what it was. I thought doing other famous tag teams finishers or big moves as the bridge in kind of Act 2 out of 3 in this match was very clever. Looked really good. And I really didn't have a problem with the super kick with no shoe on finish. I thought it told a great story, especially if they're going to have a rematch of some kind. So yeah, in my opinion, this match lived up to the hype, man. Very good, very hard to do with the kind of hype that they generated for it. 6th match, Elite Delete, man, way too fucking long. But it's everything you would expect from Elite Delete. A lot of funny stuff. My kids got into this match more than any of the others, which is not a shock. That senton off of the ladder, the swanton off of the ladder, was absolutely nuts by Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara seemed to be like paying for his sins throughout this match, which was not only the story of the match, but there's something about him that I think felt the need to absolutely murder himself for all the things that have happened to Matt Hardy throughout the course of this thing. Matt Hardy wins. They put him in the trash can. I thought the use of Private Party was pretty clever, and Santana and Ortiz. The cameos I didn't mind so much, though I didn't go absolutely apeshit for them like many people did. But this was an Elite Delete match, and it hit all the beats, the fireworks stuff, and the outside ring, and the silliness. Man, if they could have cut some time out of it, I think it would have served them much better, tightened it up a little. Lance Archer and Jake cut promo. Now they're letting Lance Archer talk more and more and more. A lot of people are digging those promos. Me, not as much. But the point gets across. Lance Archer has no friends, and he's coming to kick your asses. Got it. MJF Jericho. This was another one of those matches that did what it needed to do. And the story at the end of them trying to out-clever each other to win the match, and MJF ultimately pulling it off, makes sense. It's the only thing that makes sense. So fine. Yeah. we get this thing about Revolution, which is their next pay-per-view that's going to be February 27th. Something to build and look forward to. Yeah, a little more than 3 months away, right? A promo with Orange Cassidy with best friends there. Long and short of it, he gets slapped by Kip. Boy, we're going to continue this brouhaha, huh, with the best friends and Kip, and it's so fucking terrible. They need to find a way to make this thing good. I feel like Miro's getting exposed throughout it. Whoever's making these decisions on these things, it's not how stars are built. And I'm not saying it's a disaster and that you can't recover. I'm just saying that Miro feels decidedly lower mid-card with this presentation. And the best friends come off of an incredible parking lot brawl and have been nothing but downhill ever since. Orange Cassidy was put over by Chris Jericho in order to have a match with number 4 of the Dark Order that goes 50-50, and now getting punked out by Kip Sabian as part of this brouhaha over a video game console. I mean, it's fucking terrible. Can't convince me it's not terrible. We again promote the Dynamite with 3 big matches. Then we have our main event. Love this main event. I loved it. I'm going to ICW shows. I did a video about that. You're going to want to take a look at as well. I've never seen deathmatch wrestling. I've participated in it, which is a story for another time, but I've never gone and witnessed. But this definitely gave us that deathmatch taste, and the finish was perfectly great, wrapping the barbed wire around the arm, doing the bulldog choke with the barbed wire arm, and everybody basically pleading for Eddie to say I quit, and he does. It all works. So congratulations to AEW for pulling off a great pay-per-view. I will be curious to see what the buy rate was on this. They certainly promoted it properly and did it properly, and really they're the only ones doing pay-per-views. Now some people say, well, Impact is, but no, they're not. not with buy rates like AEW gets. It's the only real measuring stick that we have, because WWE, even though we use the lingo and the terminology, they really don't do pay-per-views anymore. So, anyway, that has been from Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, Platinum versus Full Gear 2020.